What's up, y'all? Yesterday was fucking phenomenal. My buddy Tyler joined my mastermind to talk about what the idea of scaling a wholesaling business is. So for all of my people that are watching this, you're trying to scale your business up. A lot of people think that means spending a bunch of money on marketing. They're absolutely wrong, and that is why most people fail when they try to get into this industry and they try to start closing more deals. So I want to give you guys a little sneak peek of what it is that we're doing in our accountability group. I'd love for you guys to join. If you're having trouble scaling in your business and you're wanting to take it to the next level, click the link in the description below. As always, watch this video all the way through. I guarantee it, guys, you're gonna get some gold nuggets from this, okay? So like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys after the intro. Peace out, y'all.
I started wholesaling specifically in 2017. Spent a bunch of money, didn't get any results, adjusted some stuff, learned some stuff that wasn't being taught out in the industry. And my first quarter after implementing that, I did 250,000 in wholesale. Left my government job not too long after that, started REI SIF not too long after that. And from then until now, I'm in over 150 doors. I have 2 7-figure companies, all built off of one core concept, and that is net profit. In the end, we are in business. We're in the duty of providing for our families, and what that means is that how much is entering into my back pocket at the end of the day. What is my net worth, and how can I make sure that everything that I do inside my business and my life is revolved around making sure I do nothing that could affect the jeopardy of my net worth and my household. So if you look at it like that and you think from that perspective, it makes it more emotional, right? More fixated on the idea of, okay, probably don't need 50,000, 100,000, 70,000, 90,000, records to be able to produce revenue. That first 250,000 I produced in my company came from 1,200 prospects. It didn't come from a lot of stuff. It came from understanding that if I was tax delinquent and I needed to sell my property and that person couldn't reach me, how would they reach me? Asking myself the question of, if I was in their shoes, how would they respond? How would I get a hold of them? Too many people think like Q was saying, scale is spending a bunch of money and hiring, and that's not true. Scale is focused on figuring out how can you, at the end of the day, make more money spending less money. That's true scale. How can I make $100,000 a year by only spending, let's say $10,000 instead of spending $50,000, right? That is scale. So what I want you guys to do moving forward is I want you to think about it at the end of the day. How much money do I want to make a month, net profit in my life? Okay. And then figure out how you can do that the cheapest, not the laziest way, not the offloading it to somebody else kind of way, but the way that's going to ultimately make you net profit. If you understand how you do that, right, through great effort and putting in the right processes, then you can replicate and fire where is needed. And slowly scale on top of that. So what I'll do for you guys specifically is I'll kind of bring you guys into a little bit of how our processes work, how we look at data, how I look at data. Feel free to ask questions at any time for the people that are live here, and we can chat a little bit more about it. But I wanted to make sure that we set the tonality of that. I want you guys to have the problem where at the end of the year, you're like, holy crap, I'm going to have to pay more in taxes than I've made the last 3 years combined. It's a really crappy situation, but it's also a really amazing situation because you realize that life at this point is about figuring out, how do I protect my money, not how do I make money, right? So we want to make sure that we're starting to transition into the real role of an entrepreneur, the real role of a CEO, and that's kind of where we want to be at. So what I'll do is, before I start sharing my screen and stuff like that, let's open up for any sort of questions based off those concepts and those ideas, because this is more of a mastermind-y type environment. I want to make sure we get questions answered and maybe delving a little bit deeper into the thought process of how you even think about finding your net profit first. And then I'll share my screen and talk about the actual tactics on how we can actually bring in money to even receive any net profit period. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask in the chat or unmute if you guys want. If not, I'll keep rocking and rolling.
And there's no such thing as a stupid question, guys.
Yeah.
Rock that shit.
It could literally be something revolving around your personal finances, because all of this shit revolves back into your personal life. You know what I mean? Like being in a mastermindy type component, it's not just me, talking about, REI Sift and talking about how you make money and everything else. Saved money is made money, right? So my granddad taught me really early on in my life, if I ever wanted to buy something, wait 2 days and see if I still want to buy it. Chances are I probably don't. Right. That's something he taught me. It's usually the same as that concept when it comes to buying your data, for example. Like wait 2 days, use the data you have, and I guarantee you're probably going to get results. You're going to realize that you don't need the new data. So it could be, personal questions to me, how I structure things in my personal life, financially, whatever. Think about those as we go forward, because the ultimate goal coming out of this is that you have true idea of scale. And scale, again, I'll premise, is not making more, it's saving more at the end of the day. Okay. You would rather, I'll make this statement and maybe it'll actually bring it home that much more. Would you rather be a $1.5 million company, right, with 12 employees, and at the end of the year, your pocket, you end up making, let's say, $200,000 at the end of the year in the back of your pocket? Or would you rather be a $600,000 to $800,000 a year company and putting $600,000 in your pocket with only 4 employees? Which one would you rather? Would you rather be able to say that I'm a 7-figure company, but I only make $200,000 at the end of the year? Or would you rather make less than 7 figures and put $600,000 in your pocket?
The second one all day.
Yes, sir. Second option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I
Show
mean,
us
it's a pretty
how.
no-brainer. Go ahead.
I said,
Well-
can you show us how?
Oh, yeah. What do you got,
Well,
Milton?
yeah, 2 for sure. But I have a business that does a little bit under $2 million a year, but I have 5 employees who all make over $100,000 a year. So it is providing more income to many more people than just me. You know what I mean? So,
That's true, right? But at the end of the day,
like 100 employees who get paid. You know what I mean?
So it's a metric of business models, right? And that's just the question we have to ask ourselves. Is the question that everybody has to figure out: who are they, and what type of company do they want to make? You know what I mean? If because you can, at the end of the day, there's different like plateaus, right? When someone hits the 7-figure mark, there's a plateau there that many people face. Once you hit the 10 to 12 employee mark, there's a plateau there in properly divvying out management. The same plateau happens if you have 5 employees, because now you have this, every 3 employees needs a manager. Every manager needs someone over them. You got to have the proper, structure of connections. And in the end, it's all about process, right? If we had a super smooth business, are we okay with only making the 200,000? Because at that point, that same argument could be made that I'm having
yeah, some of all of them, please.
What's that? We got it. Okay. So at the end of the day, if you have a $1.2 million company, your salary might end up being, let's say, $150,000 a year versus $800,000. Your salary might only be, let's say, $65,000 a year, right? So there might be also different salaries that you're taking. So at the end of the day, maybe you're not distributing $200,000. Maybe you're actually distributing $200,000 plus a salary of $150,000. So maybe it ends up balancing out. But again, it's like, do you want to grow a business where you have all those people? Are you doing this real estate thing to provide jobs for people? Is there other businesses that you could do that would do the same exact thing and be more stable, and allow real estate to be the disposition, cash flow, bigger checks to be able to fund and build other companies? a lot of it revolves around knowing why the hell and what type of business we really want to grow. Because even if you are, and the reason why I asked that question always is because the $1.2 million company that only gives you $200,000 can turn into the $1.2 million company that makes 50% net profit instead of the only, 60 or 40 rather, or
Sure.
20 in that scenario.
Sure.
So the idea is most people, when they scale, what ends up happening is they're the $500,000, $600,000 company, or even the less than $100,000 a year company. And they start trying to scale to bring in more revenue, when in all reality, they needed to bring in more revenue where they're at now to allow that to scale on top of maintaining net profit, so that when you end up in the 7-figure world, now you're still maintaining the same net profit. Like REISIF, for example, has the same issue, right? REISIF has maintained a 50% net profit since the very beginning, actually more than that, right? I could have hired a bunch of developers. I could have hired a bunch of individuals. We could have built out a shit ton of product and then tried to educate the product. But instead, what we did is we slowly scaled, slowly released product, did user adoption and focused on education around product, and released these features as we go so that we can continue to maintain our net profit that we need to and want to maintain, while bringing in the customer base that we need to maintain our 15 to 30% growth month over month, right? So the biggest thing about it is that in, I would say, 97% of the wholesaler investors' lives right now, what they do is they see what's out there in scale and they say that, well, I want to be the 7-figure company because I want to make 7 figures, but they have no thought process on what that actually means at the end of the day, right? In addition to that, the problem of that then starts coming into, well, I want to make 7 figures. And even if I did make $600,000, I mean, if I'm going to give the government $200,000 of it, then maybe being the $900,000 company will actually still make me more money at the end of the day, because I don't have the proper people in place in my life to even be able to make $600,000 net profit. I don't have the tax consultants. I don't have the tax attorneys. I don't have the tax, proper CPA in my life. So there's just so many things that have to be added into it as you grow as CEO. But everybody's coming into this business right now because they're trying to solve a Band-Aid of, I need to pay my next paycheck, rather than I need to build a company. And that's not a bad thing. All of us have to be in that stage to be able to start making money. The problem is that when we come into something not thinking of building the company, what happens is we start chasing every single individual thing that ultimately is going to put us further behind, rather than actually doing what's needed, and thinking about the scale side of it. So I think that part of the problem is obviously simply YouTube and everything else. And Corona didn't help in the process of that journey, because a lot of people had to figure out ways to make money. You search in Google how to make money from home, and wholesaling's popping up, and it's great for the industry and the education space and everything, in the software space. It's great for a lot of us. The problem is that there's too much stuff saying that we need to spend more money rather than actually growing a company. And there's the equal balance. Are you incorporating hiring with scale? I've always been a believer in bringing in someone that can do it better so that I can focus doing on what I can do. Yeah. I'm going to hopefully pronounce it right. Naya. I had this conversation yesterday, this whole premise of, I want to hire somebody because that's not my strong suit. That is something that is given to the people who can afford and can have the luxury to do so. Until then, you have to put a shit ton of effort into your company so that your company gives you the luxury to do something like that. Until then, we have to suck it up and do the things that we don't want to do, that we're not even very good at, until we at least get the revenue that's needed to start building the company. The magic number to me personally is $30,000 in a business account, in wholesaling specifically, to be able to scale and actually be able to hire people. What's happening is people only have $1,000 a month to spend, and they're automatically giving over 75% of that to a VA in order to not have to do cold calling. And that's a huge, huge problem, because they think they're not good on the phone. right? So these are the types of problems that we have in scale. And then 3 months later, they ran out of money because that $1,000 a month was capped out at $5,000 before they decided that they're not doing this business no more because they have to feed their families. Right. So these are just some of the problems, right? That statement is a luxury of people who either have a W-2 already and have a plan and have a structure, or have a really good mentor, right? Are surrounded by the right people. And yeah, no problem. So just be careful with that, right? There is a point where it happens, right? Like in REI, if I don't hire, I don't do the development no more, right? So I hire people to do that for me because I'm not competent in doing that, right? But if it was a sales thing, I still do a lot of the sales. I haven't hired a salesperson, even though I could, because generally, like, I'm going to be able to do that, even though I don't want to be doing that, right? Right now, the most important thing is net profit and taking the net profit. If you can't take the net profit that you need, then you have too much expenses in your business. You got to cut something back, right? There's a point where there's an equilibrium where your business starts giving you the luxury to take more time off, to take more, to take more net profit even, or to hire. And it's an even thing. For example, in a scaled company, a larger company, you don't plan to hire, but normally a quarter or 2 quarters out, because what you do is you take some of your net profit, that net profit gets sacrificed to build up a quarter worth of revenue to hold in your account. So when you hire that person, you have the money to buy their laptop. You have the money to pay for their new extra call tool subscription. You have the money to onboard them from, their training that they're going to be doing, because they're not going to produce revenue right away. Right. So these are the problems, is that instead what's happening is people are hiring based off the money they have right now to be able to utilize, rather than planning out hires like a normal company that does. Right. We're playing this game of trying to put the fire hose and keep the fires out. So we hire really quickly and we fire really quickly. It's a really, really bad mentality. Instead, you should hire right, because one bad hire, you could have waited, and one bad hire essentially will cost you an annual salary of the right hire in lost revenue. So it's really important that we don't just hire just because. It's really important that we hire because it's calculated and it's educated. All right. So with that being said, anybody have any other questions or statements kind of around that concept? What you got, Q?
I wanted to highlight something that you said that was so important, because rather than focusing on putting more money into marketing a product that was already proven, you see Tyler's product is phenomenal. I love it. There's nothing like it out there. I promise you that. And I'm a guy that is pretty much the affiliate marketing fucking genius. It's what I do. It's part of my business model. And so when I'm looking at products, I try it out for myself. REI Sith is probably one of I will say it is difficult to learn it and master. I still haven't mastered it. I still don't know every single part of it, because it's consistently innovating. And I'll say there's probably maybe only 2 softwares out there that innovate the same, but are not on the same level of organization where you can actually double down and really get a look at what your business is. But I want you guys to understand this. Rather than focusing on figuring out a way to keep people subscribed to the platform, what did he talk about? He said client retention, customer retention. It's being able to see who your client is and retain the customer by putting out an amazing product, not only putting out the fucking product, but putting out a way that you can educate people on how to maximize the product, thus increasing the profits that users are making, thus allowing users to be able to upgrade their subscriptions to maximize his platform to the highest caliber, because then he's optimized their own companies through his fucking platform. You see what I'm saying? Like, when you've optimized your shit, then you can pay for the elite program. You can pay for enterprise. You can actually do that, because now you're able to do more because you see what your business is at scale. And so I love that. I love that concept. Rather than focusing on hiring a shit ton of fucking developers and then going and hiring a crap ton of fucking people that can market the product and then getting the whole affiliate wagon. Tyler doesn't do affiliate marketing really. I know he just opened it up, but I don't know anybody who's like in the influencer level, like as where I'm at. I call myself an influencer. It is what I fucking do, guys. It's part of my fucking personality. I cannot help it if you're influenced by me. I'm just a cool guy, all right? I love y'all. But you know, for me, being in the influencer standpoint, I'm probably one of the very few that actually promote it and use it to create a residual income. But other than that, it is a slept on platform that people don't fully know how to optimize, maximize, and add it to their tool belt on the things that they need to be able to make the most out of their business. Because realistically, it's not about spending a shit ton of money. It's literally about spending the least amount of money, having the least amount of people on your team to be able to make the most amount of money, and then scaling gracefully. Because I know now at 120 doors, at multiple users that are using this platform, and the many things that you're currently investing in, now those things are possible, and you're weighing
Yeah.
it correctly. So y'all got to catch that right there, because that's what you got to be doing in your business. You got to be able to calculate and coordinate and make massive, perfected decisions on where it is that you're going to go. You know, one of the things that I like about the Sift brand, I'm not sure if it's in the dojo or if it's in the I love it because it's actually on the podcast. What is the name of the podcast again?
Uh, the Allies to Prosperity one we have, and then we also have the Ninja Cast.
I love the Allies to Prosperity one because literally the logo has chess pieces in it. And when you're playing the game of life, the game of business, it's literally chess. If you don't make your moves wisely and you lose your queen early in the game, well, guess what happens? You might as well just fold because you've already lost. So, you know, take that into real consideration, guys. Focusing on customer retention, focusing on the things that you already have, the things that you have control of, and being able to amplify those things rather than hiring and throwing more money into marketing. What do I got and how can I maximize it?
Yeah. I think the customer retention thing and the whole affiliate thing, just touch base on that. We've never wanted to do that simply because we wanted to build something people talked about naturally rather than being paid to do it. So we only recently released a reward system to current users just because they were already sharing it so much. We wanted to be able to give back to them to do that. Other than that, we've only had a couple other people that were already using the product that had a following in a sense that we hooked up to be able to help them out. And you know, that's always just been the way that we are. Like I've never wanted to grow that. And there's a few reasons. Retention's a big one. It's hard to handle. You end up having a lot of churn. Just like if you do a lot of marketing, right, in your real estate company, you do a lot of wholesaling, you send out, let's say 50,000 RVMs because you want to get a bunch of leads. And then you don't even you can't even handle like 1,000 of them or even 300 of them a day, right? It's wasted money, right? If we were just like blasting out to a ton of affiliates, a lot of a lot of products are doing that now, right? In the real estate space, because a lot of real estate influencers out there, credit space, a lot of the spaces are doing that, but we got to try to maintain our bubble, right? We got to try to stay inside of our bubble, produce the best product for ourselves, our clients, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in software, as we humanly can. If your real estate clients are not wanting to give you a testimonial without you asking them, I promise you, do not deliver a good enough experience for them, right? It needs to be in their forefront, right? They need to be telling you how good of an experience it was. If you have to pry that information from them, then there's something that you're not doing 100% right. Not to say you still shouldn't ask, right? But you got to figure out how you deliver that experience to where they're wanting to share your company with others. If you're curious on how to diagnose that in your business and stuff like that, it's an industry standard called the NPS survey. You can even send that to your customers. But an NPS survey, essentially you've seen it before. It's the red, yellow, or green smiley face. Green smiley faces mean that your customers are going to share the word. Gray, I'm sorry, it's red, gray, green. Gray smileys are essentially neutral, like, it's okay. And then reds are like angry people, right? You want as many greens across any business as humanly possible. On top of that, Community, right? So when it comes to community and REI SIF, that's a huge part of what we do. We want to make sure that we have a really solid community, people that are helping each other and having the right people come into our business. And the same thought process can be inside of my real estate company, right? It's always been the same exact way. I want the right people inside of my company. I want to work with the right people. I don't know. I couldn't count how many people I've literally said, I don't want to buy your house, even though it was a deal. Right? Just because they just don't fit as a customer. I think there is somebody else who has a different personality that fit them more. We've literally denied and lost revenue technically, right? Because it just wasn't a fit. They wanted to sell, but they were aggressive. They had a personality that I would not want to do business with, right? That's totally normal. That's totally okay to do because it's just part of like what you're trying to build, right? And I think it's really important to make sure that you maintain your bubble, right? Try not to get lost in the space. It's another one I always tell people. It's like, they go out and they go through something that they know is proven. They listen to the case studies. They see that it works. It's literal fact, right? In this case of REIs, if you have 10 phone numbers, only 1 or 2 of them could be right. There's no question about that, right? That's literal fact. You can call through 10 phone numbers and you might reach one. You might not reach anybody. They might all be wrong phone numbers in some scenarios. The fact is that if you were to go from cold calling and you called through a record and there was wrong phone numbers on there, and then you go to an SMS platform and you SMS it, and then you go to an RVM platform and you RVM the same person, if there was a wrong phone number in there, you've now spent your marketing costs. That's facts. That's not questionable. That is just cold, hard, literal intelligence. Right. And this is one of the reasons why a $1.2 million company can increase its net profit drastically by simply cutting their marketing costs by 50%, simply because they don't know that they're respending or they don't want to do the efforts to actually save the money they should be saving in their business. There's a reason why Target, Walmart, and every other company wants you to put in your phone number when you check out. It's not because they love you. Right? It's not because they want to call you and invite you out to dinner. It's because they want to get information. They want to know things about you and your life. They need to know. In fact, they've got it even smarter now, where they just track your credit card number and they search your credit card number through the credit bureau database. And they want to know, what is your income bracket? Are you having a kid right now? Because they're smart enough to know that they need to send you the proper coupons to make sure that you're coming into the store. They customize their marketing based off your buying habits, right? And because they know that their job as marketers, their job as a company to make sure that they have a really healthy company is to target based off the person's emotions and the way that you're going to respond. Unlike in the real estate space, it's all about, let's just smash as many sellers as I can because somebody's bound to sell to me. It's just a number. No, it's just psychology is what it is. Marketing is psychology. Finding the right person and getting in front of them the way they need to be heard, not the way that's beneficial or easy or convenient to you just because, you have a W-2, so you're going to do SMS because it's the cheapest thing to do right now, right? It might not be the right thing for the seller. And then you go 3 months thinking you're not getting a deal and SMS don't work. When in all reality, it would have worked if you had some other systems in place. And in addition to that, maybe you should have been tracking who you're not reaching. So you could have cold called them on the weekend, but you don't want to do that because you're already SMSing. You're already doing marketing, right? You're working hard because you're SMSing throughout the day. You're responding to 1,000 people or 300 people a day. So there's no need for you to call on the weekends because you're not trying to build a business and provide for your family or anything, right? So that's the problem, is that we try to trick ourselves and try to make excuses on why what you do and why you're special. None of us are special. This is fucking not rocket science that we're doing here, right? It's simple metrics and simple math, right? If I have a person I'm trying to reach and I only had one record, what would I do to reach that one person? I would probably call their phone numbers. I would probably research their family members. I'd probably go door knock. The problem is once we start having 10, 15, 20, 10,000, 1,000 records, we get lazy. We think that it's too complicated. So we're just going to SMS them all, right? And now all of a sudden we're willing to spend money because we want to hit more people. But if we would have focused on 10, 15, 20 of those and done the one way consistently and built a process around it, then we would have had just the same results as if we were to have texted and blasted the 10,000. Right. But nobody wants to do that. So business is built off of process. No wholesaling company, no company, period. It doesn't matter how much revenue your company makes, right? If you try to sell a company that does not have process, it's worth diddly squat, right? It's the reason why people don't sell wholesaling companies. Very few. Franchises can be sold, but you guys know, by the way, what's the biggest franchise out there right now in wholesaling? We Buy Houses, right? Probably the biggest one out there. One everyone knows about.
Homevestors, right? That's the name of the company.
Homevestors. Yep. Yep. So do you know it's only worth $40 million? They have 150, I believe, franchises, only worth $40 million. That's crazy, right? They have 150 franchises, only worth $40 million. Yet some of those franchises make millions of dollars a year. Why is that? Right? If a software company made $5 million in a year, it's worth anywhere between 15, 20, or 30 million. If it makes 10 million a year, it's upwards 50, 60, 70 million, right? Why is that? It's because of the type of business, it's the models, it's the processes, it's what it's worth, right? It's what the likelihood of a sale actually happening. There's a lot of things behind it. So you got to think about yourself. Where are you really at? What are you really trying to do? What are you really trying to build? Why are you even in this business? And then take consideration on that. So let me answer this, and then I'm going to kind of hop in and share my screen, kind of show you guys how we can start actually, focusing on it a little bit more. I have a problem calling high equity, but don't have a problem calling stacked 3+. No, exactly. And on this note of cold calling, for those that aren't here live and are trying to do that, you're not getting any luck. It's like a lot of people, when they get on the phones, are starting a cold call. They're calling, waiting for an opportunistic sale on like high equity, right? Oh, they pick up, hey, I know this is kind of out of the blue, or hey, I know this is random, or hey, how's it going? My name's Tyler. I was just giving you a call real quick. Are you the owner of this property? Whatever script you're using, you're calling, hoping or needing them to be opportunistic. You're hoping that they're in a situation where they need to sell. That's not smart, right? That's hopeful, right? And I don't make business decisions off of hope. I make business decisions calculated off of things that I know that I can measure, like hiring somebody and knowing how much they can bring into my company. And so when you're cold calling or you're trying to get a hold of people, you need to value the people who, if they pick up the phone and they say, yeah, I'm John. Perfect. I know how I can help John. Not, oh, I hope John's in a situation where I can help him. I hope John's in a situation where he's desperate, right? Because it's about providing the solution. It's like, hey, John, how's it going, man? You know what you know, because you know it's tax lien, you know it's probate, you know what's going on or whatever. Now you're coming in just having a conversation because you're waiting for the opportunity to then provide the service. See, real estate is a service-based industry, right? What we do is a service-based function. We're providing a service. It's the reason why we're able to do what we do, right? If we were selling things, it'd be a little bit different in the way that we approach. But because we're service-based, we should never, ever, ever feel as though that we should never be scared of being on the phone, right? Because we're literally providing value and providing a service to somebody. If they don't want our service, it's totally fine. Imagine like if you were walking down like the street or whatever, and someone came up and they were providing a service, not selling you. Like, let's say it's like someone's going to clean your shoes. Like, how many people get really frustrated or angry at the person that's like offers, hey, do you mind if I just clean your shoes? Or the guy that cleans your window for free and then maybe you just tip them, right? None of us, I don't know, maybe there is. There's just always assholes everywhere. But like, that's a service-based thing. But if someone walks up to me and they start trying to sell me the fucking vacation package outside of Sportsman's or whatever the hell else, I get pissed. Like, dude, you're trying to sell me to do something. If I wanted this, I would have asked for it, right? There's a difference between conditional service, right, and selling. So just remember that when you're getting on the phones, because it's a huge part. It's something you got to teach your team. And however, if the salesperson had some information, right, where they know that person just researched going on vacation Hawaii and they so happen to have a Hawaii package, he probably have a lot higher chance that person not being pissed off or frustrated that he's stopping him when they're trying to go to fucking Cracker Barrel for dinner or whatever else they're going to, and they're being stopped to try and be sold a fucking vacation package, right? They're going to have a higher chance. So it's all about making sure that you're putting yourself in a higher chance to where the service that you're providing, right, is it. Companies do this all the time. This is why Starbucks builds their, the buildings on the corners that they build it on. It's why oil lube places build their buildings where they build them. It's because they know there's a high traffic, there's a high chance that their service is going to be needed because of the high volume of vehicles that are going past there. All right. Anyway, how do you determine the best way to contact folks other than age targeting? It's doing all of it, right? It's just doing it and then tracking it. The problem is that everyone thinks it's really expensive to do all of it. And that's just because you're thinking at a phantom scale is what I like to call it. It's basically, you're thinking that it needs to be at 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people a month. You're thinking that it needs to be feeding the dialer because you need to send, 10,000 brand new records to your cold call service every month. Right. And that's simply because they're not going to do the work that you need to be doing. And they're just scraping opportunistic leads. Right. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about kind of what kind of data we focus on and kind of the system around that gather of data and that sales component, because it's the most important part of your business is the database. The only reason why Sears didn't sell for $0 is because Sears had 20 years of a database of people that wanted to buy tools. Sears, when it went out of business and filed bankruptcy, it sold its database for money, although it filed bankruptcy, right? Why is that? It's because it's the most important part of our business, right? Being able to adapt and do the right things consistently is the reason why companies are successful. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. So for those that don't know, this is REI SIF in general. This is our dashboard. We have a vacant records, newly vacant. This month I had 591. This is my total database. These are all the different lists. I'm just going to kind of click through these just in case you guys don't know of all the lists. I'm going to click through these so you can see them. You do not need all of these lists in order to be successful in real estate. You could literally do one. I told you my first 250,000 came from only 100 or 1,200 records, right? And crazy thing is I had only contacted 30 of the 1,200. We still market and pull deals from those same 1,200 records from 3 years ago. It's another issue with business is they think that data doesn't expire. And I'm like, so what? So I ask people, it's like, so, okay, you have 10,000 records you pulled. How many did you talk to? Well, maybe like 300, but the other people didn't answer. I'm like, so you pulled more data? Like, yeah. Like, cool. So you like those houses like fly away. You think this is fucking Yellow Brick Road over here? They just pick up and just go like fly in the fucking sky and just move locations. Like that person, you're doing yourself a injustice. You're not in the business for the right reason if you're just calling through shit just to reach people to buy more data, just to reach the person they're going to pick up. Out of 1,500 dials on a dialer, for example, nearly 750 of them are going to end up going to voicemail. And 90% of people aren't even leaving voicemails. They're also not doing RVMs. This is why you could be cold calling in a market and getting deals, and someone could be RVMing only and still getting deals because you're cold calling and not reaching half the people you're even fucking calling, right? So you call through 100 people that you know need to sell their house or in a situation where they need to sell. They don't pick up the phone, so you move on to more data when in all reality, it's because they're really busy. They work a top secret job or some shit, right? Because you're in a really high military population, so they can't answer their phone during the day. They don't have time to call. But you didn't leave a voicemail, so they forget about you because when they get home, they're not thinking about fucking, calling you back. But they will generally at least click on the voicemail and see what was said through the auto read. You know what I'm saying? But you're not leaving voicemails. It's micro things. It's the little small processes, the consistency that we need to add into our businesses to get the extra mile. Like Quentin right now, he's doing a lot of working out. He's doing all the things. If Quentin didn't have a bottle of water right next to him right now, right, and he had a bunch of fucking high C, he'd be having different results. This is beautiful flexes. You know what I mean? People want to do something, but they do the 50% that's easy, when in all reality, the next 50% is what's going to ultimately make the huge difference in their life. The drinking the water, the watching your macros, the doing all those things is what makes the big difference between somebody, gaining muscle versus staying lean and vice versa, right? So we got to make sure that we really think about those ultimate goals and the processes that we have in our business, because that one little thing that seems so minuscule, the excuse that we make, all these things are drastic. Boom, water gone, right? Pounds shedded. So doing other things, right? I always tell people, if you're buying data, you're intaking data into our company, which all of us need. Data is nothing more than a core metric of information, right? It is, what is the core that we need in real estate? Do you know your neighbor's name? Most of us know the person to the left or to the right of us or across from us name in our house. Actually, I lie. I don't know the dude to the right across from me, just one door over. I know he locked picks, and I've been here for 3 years. We've waved to each other, never once said hi. However, most of us know their first and last name. We also know where they live, right? So we have their mailing address and we have their property address, unless they have a PO box. But if just open up their mailbox and see if they're getting mail. If they are, then that's their mailing address. Okay. Nevertheless, we know that. That is all we need to be successful in real estate. That's it. We need to know a property address, where they receive mail, and we need to know the first and last name of the homeowner. Everything else, the amount of equity, whether they're tax delinquent, whether they're probate, all that other stuff is literally just metrics to make us more successful in our marketing. That's it. Right. And this can be proven because there's companies like Homevestors that literally just send postcards to everybody in that whole market. Why? Because that's their model, and that's okay. If Homevestors switch to a different model, they make a shit ton of money, but they're stuck in the past anyway. So it's not going to happen. Right. With that being said, now Homevestors does Facebook ads and they do other stuff now too. But point being, we don't need all the fancy stuff. We can get this stuff right from our county. Fantastic. But here's the thing. If you don't track when you got it, where you got it, how you got it, where it's been and where it's going, right? What's going to end up happening is you're going to end up paying for that information in the future. I promise you, everybody always tries to argue with me in this that have been in the business for a long time. And then they create an account and we upload all their data and we find out that they've literally bought the same shit for the last 4 years straight. You know what I mean? It's like they've skip traced the same shit over and over and over because they called through it once. They didn't reach anybody. So then it goes 3 months later, they buy a whole new list again. They end up spending $1,500 in skip tracing. And lo and behold, the same data was there twice. Right? It's because there's only so many addresses inside the fucking, your area. It's the same reason why if you have 1,500 cash sales in 3 months and you haven't got a sale yet, then there's probably not because your market's saturated. It's probably because you're not doing the right things, right? The funniest thing is when everybody ends up buying all the data in their market, they've cold called through all of it. And then they're like, oh, my market, it's dried up. I'm going to go to another market. And then you pull a buyer's list in the last 90 days that's had the same amount of sales. It's because they're lacking the core concepts and the core principles of what a business is. They're running basically a cog, right? The system that just kind of churns through data and moves on to the next location. You can only do that, 52 times? What are we up to? Like 52 or 54 states in for the United States? I don't know where it's at. They keep adding some, buying some, I don't know, trading them, whatever, right? We're just going to say stick with 50, but I'm pretty sure it's more than that now. So you can only do that 50 times before you're out of locations, right? So if you're doing this for life, you got to think about that, right? You got to think about the core competencies of, do I want to be the person who moves to a different market? Are you that much of a, well, I'm not going to say the B word because there's ladies in here, but like, are you that much of somebody who is willing to bend to another company, or are you going to be the company that buys all the property? Yeah.
Are you that much of a pussy?
I was gonna say a bitch, but yeah, pussy works too, right? Basically, why the fuck would you move to another market when there's someone doing deals in your market? Like, do you want to be known as the person who is the buyer in your market, or do you want to be the person in the shadows just kind of scraping money every now and again? I want to be the fucking person known in my market, because that's what's going to make my company a 50-year company. That's what's going to make sure that no matter what I do, I'm getting deals. No matter what happens to the texting laws, the cold calling laws, I want to be known as a home buyer. I want to be known as the premier builder, right? I want to be known as the agent that does a good job and serves his customers and makes sure that they get into the house and calls the bullshit on the seller when they say that there's wood rot that they fixed, when all reality, all they did was paint over it with an adhesive paint and I could still pick that shit out, right? But the home inspector is okay with it because now it's painted, but before it wasn't, right? I want to call the bullshit. So those are things we got to think about. So if you look at my tags, for example, you'll notice that I have things like CT August 2020, CT December 2020. I have tags on my records. I have deal machine focused ouchies, irrelevant. This guy owns 30 properties. Deal machine ouchies October 2020 SMS. So I know these 1,926 people that went on an SMS campaign in October. Why is this important? Right? There's a few reasons. Number one, I know that I spent money on these individuals back then. But more importantly, when you're marketing, the question is always, how many people have I not reached that I need to be? See, there's people in real estate, there's homeowners, there's sellers, right, that sit idly and they're afraid and they're scared of the situation they're in. I have one right now that we have under contract, right? I'll tell you guys a story at the end, and I'll show you as an example in here. But they're at a point in their life where they have not accepted where they're at. They won't tell anybody about it. It's the same reason why we have suicide, issues inside of, the world in general. Like we are emotional beings. We will not tell people about the things we got going on. All right. I'm not going to get on the computer and type. If I type, it means it's real. If I type, I need to sell my house, that means that it's real. I'm taxing. I don't have a job. That's a powerful thing to get to that point emotionally where you're going to admit that there's something going on. Okay. There's other people, right, that are less emotionally inclined. They're not attached to their emotions as much, right? They rip the Band-Aid off. There's like the difference between a person who like slowly peels the Band-Aid because it's like, versus I'm just going to fucking do it, right? Those two different types of individuals are very similar to what I'm talking about now. I'm the rip the fucking Band-Aid off, right? I'm not the kind of guy. I just don't like doing that, right? So therefore, when you're marketing, you have to be able to understand that there's those two types of individuals, right? There's also the third outlier, which is why cold calling is successful, right? That are willing to not be, a certain way on the phone that just pushes you off. The person that calls you a dick on the phone and hangs up on you, because they don't have a problem because they're taxing right now, they're the person that would sooner or later respond via Facebook, direct mail, or some other method. They're not going to be the type of person that's going to have a conversation on the phone. They're too egg-headed, right? In person, they would be great. They would be okay in person once they got to know you. But you got to understand those differences, all right? So we got to make sure we're spending our marketing dollars in that same kind of way. This is another point that came up in my head. So when we buy our data, we want to make sure we're asking ourselves those questions. We call it the 4 W's of data management. Where did it come from? Where has it been? Where is it going? And when did it happen? Right. And we tag according to that. Actually, our new upload actually has it all baked in. So you don't got to type that anymore. It's just there. So when we're building marketing campaigns, we want to structure ourselves to where we're always having that as our forethought. How can we make sure that our marketing dollars are going towards the right people always right away? So I'm going to give you guys a scenario. And for anybody, like someone asked earlier, if you had $1,000 to spend every single month, where would you put it? The answer to that question is that you don't have $1,000 a month. You have 25, right? Automatically, when we give ourselves an allotment of revenue, when we don't have revenue to be spending, right, from our business, if our business isn't producing revenue, then we don't have revenue to spend. We got to get our business producing revenue. We got to get the $30,000 in our bank account, and then we got to plan what that next quarter is going to look like. You should be spending the least amount of money humanly possible and putting in the work and focusing on your process really early on. All the gurus out there and everybody would say, just fucking send it, dude. Send it. Like just put the marketing out there, hit as many people as you can and get a deal. And I think it's the worst advice. It's the least humane advice that anybody possibly give. It's the advice coming from somebody who is looking to try to sound a cool way or have a certain mentality against them, rather than actually caring about the actual objective that you're trying to do. Okay. And that objective is that you're trying to make sure that you take care of your family. Getting rid of $5,000 when you don't have $5,000 is not the answer for you to provide for your family. That's a bullshit excuse. Oh, put the money in. You got to spend the money to make the money. That's fucking bullshit. Right? You got to put the work in to get the money. And ultimately it's always your household. You always got to take care of the household. If that means working a W-2 and putting money and working your ass off after hours, and that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with that. Only idiots would say, oh, that's cheap. Like that's, you don't believe in yourself. That's bullshit. Right. Just because you're providing for your family, you have a 2-year-old, you have a baby on the way, and you're working a W-2, there's nothing to be ashamed about that. Right. You don't even have to be working, in real estate full time. Right. And be wealthy. Some of the wealthiest guys I know, okay, when I was still a cybersecurity engineer, I worked for the DoD, and I hacked planes for a living, right? So when we were to go to do engagements, we had teams, guys from Google, guys from like top executives from Microsoft. These guys were making $400,000 a year salary, right? Making insane money, right? Making good money. Every single one of them did something on the side. That thing on the side in their scenario was working for the government, right? Being a consultant for the government, right? They're still hustling on the side because they're not only strictly relying on their W-2, right? Many of them also, I had conversations about real estate with them, right? What they're investing in, all these other things. Like, you can have a life and not do real estate full time. It's a big conspiracy. It's the way that, people think it is. And I understand if you can't get a job or anything like that, real estate's a really good catalyst, but just wanted to put that out there too. Anyway, the data that you focus on, it needs to be putting the highest chance of success first, right? My belief is that is in this priority: stacked, vacant, ouchies, equity. Okay. And if you don't know what the 4 buckets of data management are, essentially what stacked is records that are on multiple different lists. Okay. It can be on high equity, it can be on probate, it can be on tax delinquency, and it can be on something else. Anytime I talk about this, everyone's always like, oh, I don't want to do list stacking. I don't want to do this or that or the other. It's like, okay, that's fine. Like, that's like a very small component of what REISIF is in general, but it's the smallest component of your marketing process. Okay. The stacked is just a way to put you even farther ahead. If you only had equity data, the process still needs done. So what I always get, like, oh, I'm only hitting high equity data. I'm like, hey, cool. Are you still cold calling? Yeah. Like, okay. You think the fucking process just disappears on the way that you cold call, the way you track phone numbers, just because you're only targeting equity data? Like, it doesn't, it's the process. People try to make up the reasons why they're special and why it doesn't work for them. Vacant is anything that's vacant, period. It's anything that it could be on multiple lists. It doesn't matter. The core factor there is that it's vacant. Ouchies is just because I got a 5-year-old daughter. I think ouchies is a funnier word than vexation. But ouchies are basically, your tax delinquencies, your probates, but they're only on that list. Okay. They're only on the tax delinquent list. They're not stacking with vacant, like probate, and they're not getting checked or flagged as vacant. One of the biggest questions I always get is like, Tyler, well, why would you market to the ouchies? If they're just tax delinquent, why not? I'm like, well, because they could be high equity and they could also be probate. You just might not have that data, right? But the point is the process of scaling to where it's worth spending the money on the people that are just tax delinquent when we haven't even focused or really hit any of all the stacked and all the vacant yet. Okay. The reason why I made a mistake, my second year doing wholesaling, and it was that I told myself, you know what, I'm just gonna hit all the stacked. I had the budget to do the other 2, but I didn't focus on it because I was like, well, they're just fucking tax delinquent, and if they mattered, if they had equity, they'd be on my equity list, right? What I didn't think about was the fact that the algorithms, can be fucked, right? PropStream or ListSource or wherever you buy might say that it only has 30% equity, but it could really have 70, right? It's just, math. And yeah, and it can fuck up. So at the end of the year, we do our, reverse engineering of our company and see how everything's going. And we found out that out of the 300 properties that were only tax delinquent, 67 of them, I believe it was, if I remember correctly, sold. None of them sold on the MLS. All of them sold to an investor or somebody else, some of which were even some of my, competitors. Right. So what I learned there, and this is where I no longer make any business decisions based off of assumption. It's all based off of metrics and numbers. I don't know what I don't know. and making business decisions off what I don't know makes me a fool. Right. So I'm going to not assume. The only reason that I have an excuse not to market to those is if I don't have the bandwidth to do so. It just means I need to double down where it makes sense, because I know that if it's tax delinquent and it's a high equity, at least I know it's a higher chance that I'm going to be able to make money right now in my business compared to if it's just tax delinquent and it doesn't have equity, or it's tax delinquent and it's for foreclosure, then I might not make money for the next 3 months, depending on the situation. Okay. Which is another point that when you're pulling data in your business, you got to make sure you have an even balance between being able to make revenue right now in your life versus make revenue in 3 months to 6 months from now. We had someone in our community mastermind last night. They'd only been focusing on pre-foreclosures and probates and nothing else. And I'm like, I mean, you just started 2 months ago and that's the first thing you targeted. Like, yeah, well, that's, what I was told. Like, I got to focus on pre-foreclosures. They're motivated people. Like, no shit. But they also have been like, if you think they're good at making decisions, don't you think they would have probably made a decision to sell, like, I don't know, 6 months ago? Like, these people are really difficult to deal with, number one. And number two, they got an attorney involved now from a bank, and that makes it even more difficult. And now you got to learn all the legal jargon and everything else. So it's very difficult. Tax delinquency is the same way with the whole decision-making thing. The difference is that now there's urgency, because if they don't sell, they lose it, compared they can leech and milk the pre-foreclosure, and there's no attorneys involved. It's pretty cut and dry. It's like, hey, you don't sell to me, you're going to lose your house. You could sell to me and I can get some money in your pocket. Or I can list it for you if it's, if there's some time, but if it's 3 years delinquent, we're probably going to get slotted for tax auction pretty soon. But no matter what, and this goes back to what I said earlier, when it comes to scale and building the presence and doing all the things you need to do, I get to still, at minimum, that conversation gets to leave with, well, here's how you can not lose your house. If you at least go to the county right now and you at least give them $150, they'll pause it and give you some more time. Oh, and also, by the way, here's the guy I know from Cash Payday Loans, or whatever the hell the place is down the street from me, that I've networked with to be able to provide a solution so that you can get your taxes paid for at a really low interest rate, as low as you can get when you don't have any credit and everything else, right? So I can at least solve a solution there. There's at least a value proposition happening there that nobody else would have done. And now when they are ready to sell, because they're going to have a problem because they're not going to be able to pay the bill to the payday place. But at least it gave us more time and we built the relationship, right? So now we just do follow-up, make sure they're okay. And this is the next biggest mistake people do with follow-up. And I keep having ideas that I wanted to share with you guys. But the next biggest thing is that when a problem is solved and somebody says no, and you think that there's no longer a follow-up task to be done, just because they're no longer a sale, you stop following up with them. Anybody who even might have sold their house to somebody else, for the next 90 days, at least call them once a month, right? And just see how they're doing, right? This is huge. Car dealerships do this pretty often too. Even if they know that you bought a car, actually fucking the place down the street from me, what is it? Not Toyota, the Subaru place down the street. I bought my Acura, right? Even though they know that I bought my Acura, she keeps calling me once a month and saying, hey, what's going on? Right. And I was like, like, this is like really cool and all, but you can stop calling me now. Right. I end up having to let her know. Like, I thought it was cool. But we've converted other deals doing that in real estate, right? Just continuing to follow up. In fact, one of those deals was a property up in Crestview, off of Pearl Street. I forget the street number, but it was because we kept following up with a seller that we actually had already closed on their property. So we followed up for 90 days afterwards, to make sure they're okay. And her friend had a tenant that was moving out, and we ended up buying her property. Right. We were just still on her mind 90 days after we already closed on the property, right? Making sure everything's okay, making sure they transitioned okay. Most people, after they receive their paycheck, boom, that's it. They're done. Right. That's not what you want to do. All right.
I want to touch on that too, Tyler, if you don't mind if I come in.
Yeah, go ahead, dude.
I think I talked to you guys about this, right? Because I think that this is imperative. It's so important in your business that you create a product that cannot be replicated. Now, a lot of people don't understand what the idea of product promise is, nor do they understand the idea of what creating raving fans is. And how can you separate yourself from what everybody else is doing? Because exactly what Tyler was talking about, You have other individuals that are out there, hundreds of thousands of people that are cold calling all the same. They're RVMing all the same. They're text messaging all the same. If you're not able to differentiate yourself from the batch, it's going to be very hard for you to be able to get a one up on what your competitors are doing. And I don't care whether you're a solopreneur or a wholesaler. Technically, I'm nationwide at this point. You guys are all my competitors, but I love y'all. I'm going to help you guys grow your businesses. I'm not trying to invade y'all space or anything. But this is my thing, right? So how do you develop a product? How do you keep a client to remember you? Most of you exactly what Tyler said. This is absolutely right. Most of you guys, the moment that you get your wholesale check, that's pretty much where your relationship ends with the seller. And that's bad. That's not how you do it. And the way that you create your product promise, the way that you create your raving fans is by being able to keep them a part of your company, delivering such an experience that even if they're not even paid to tell other people about you, it creates word of mouth marketing. And essentially, that's exactly what Tyler did to expand what he was doing on the REI SIF stuff. When he started helping people close massive amounts of deals, he was creating raving fans. So raving fans can be created in all aspects. It doesn't have to just be in your in a software company, affiliate marketing. You don't have to be a YouTuber or anything like that. You can do the same thing in your business. Let me give you guys an example. Whenever we're done closing a deal, I create a nice little thank you packet. And we have a virtual assistant who sends them over a $50 gift card to a steakhouse of their choice. On top of that, I send them over company t-shirts. My company shirt is fucking awesome. It's really nice. I spent a lot of money on it, right? And so, we go to their place, we take photos with them, and I also give them 2 coupons, which I've shown you guys in our past videos. And I know this sounds crazy, right? Who gives out coupons? But they're coupons that they can redeem from my company. So I give them each 2. Each family member gets 2. And on that coupon, it states that if you tell somebody about us and how we were able to do business with you, keep this with you. If you bring it back to me, I will give you $1,500 for giving me that referral. Essentially, what I'm doing is I'm creating such an insane experience for this client, such like a jaw dropping, like, holy crap, this guy Q really cared about me enough to be able to retain the client. Not only that, but they're forever in my database. I will call every single seller that I've ever done business with because sellers talk. If I did amazing business for this individual, they'll never forget me. Remember, people are going to forget the things that you do. People are going to forget the things that you say sometimes, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. So when you add that aspect to a business and you're able to deliver that product that is like so immaculate, so just no one else could have done what you did for this individual. That is how you create raving fans. When you think of the word coffee, what pops up? Starbucks, right? When you think of the word football, what pops up? NFL. When you think of the word soccer, what pops up? FIFA. All of these different fucking companies, right? When you think of the word shoes, Nike, right? So when I say that I want to sell my property, Dennis, am I thinking about you? You see what I'm saying? So how can you create that presence? If you haven't started, start today. Go ahead, Tyler. I'm sorry, bro.
No, that's 100%, right? And that's why for like in our company, we switched and all of our marketing now has Trust FCRE on it rather than just Florida Cash Real Estate, right? So we switched up our branding, switch up our logo, switch up our colors a little bit. You make it to where you're unique and you follow that through with an experience like you said. So fantastic. But how do we get more of those people, right? That actually need help? How do we make a system around it? It's not even just, marketing to the right people, but it's the system around marketing to the wrong people, because that's what 90% of wholesalers do anyway. So, stacked, vacant, ouchies, equity, each of these are just presets. That's why I put them here. I'm not going to get into all that, but I want to show you guys like an example of like a process, right? So let's just say, for example, I know of a market or a zip code in my market that's like a really hot one, right? I would want to narrow down inside of them. So I'm just going to load, let's say, let's do, I'm trying to find Elliott. Do I have Elliott 0.1 as a preset? No. Let me see. Yeah. So like, for example, here, we have the deal machine kind of records here. We do Driving for dollars like around our office. Elliott Point is like the hottest area in my market. So what we've done is we've taken the principle of making sure that we're focusing on the highest valued prospect first, and then narrowing down. So we've created essentially Deal Machine Elliott, meaning Elliott Point. It's a location. No numbers, no numbers, owner occupied ones, stacked ones, and then vacant ones, and then vacant in-state owners, out-of-state owners, owner occupied, and so on. Right. So we've basically segmented out that core list, and now we have a process around making sure that we run through them. So the person that asked about the whole $1,000 a month, like how would you get the most out of that? The answer would be is that you would spend $750 of it on data. And then you would come in here and you'd say, okay, well, what data did I buy? Right. Hopefully you don't even spend any money. Maybe you just go to your accounting and get some data, and you spend, some money cleaning it up or whatever. And then you're going to come in here and we're going to click on, I'm just going to do the Deal Machine, Elliott Point, no numbers, and apply that. Let's see how many we get. I don't have any. So let me go back and then say with numbers. Okay. So this is 44 individuals, right? Very small amount. Some of these are on multiple lists and some of them aren't. Let's, even if we were to filter it down by not being on multiple lists, I can just do list stacking count. Let's say 1 to 1. There isn't any. So they're all stacked. So that's kind of cool. Okay. So if they're all on multiple lists, then that's what they are. So what you would do is you'd literally just click on it. Okay. And in this one, as an example, you can see that this one has correct number and this one has a wrong number, right? It could be a example from me doing training, because I fuck up my account all the time from examples, but you would want to call through and call this phone number and then tag it as a correct number, right? And you can do this with the system. I'm just going to remove that because I don't think that's accurate. I think that's from a training. And then remove it, right? But the most powerful thing, remember what I said earlier, is like, it's about knowing who you haven't reached, right? If I know that this is on a Deal Machine list, which means that it's the properties were in distress, and I click on a record and I see that I haven't had any phone numbers tagged yet, that means I haven't reached this person, period. And if I look at my tags and I've been following the 4 W's of data management, I can see that, well, I tried to cold call them in January. I also sent them direct mail in January of 2020. I also sent an SMS in October of 2020, right? I can see when and how I sent, to try to get them to respond to me. And back then we didn't have the ability to tag phone numbers. Maybe I did reach them, maybe I didn't. I can see I have a DNC one here that would have been just tag DNC instead. But if I come in here and I have a bunch tagged wrong phone number and I see that I've marketed to them cold calling for the last 3 months and I don't get anybody, cool. I'm going to call through the other phone numbers that aren't tagged yet. And if they don't answer, cool. That means I need to send a postcard. I need to start researching family members. I need to look at what list they're on. So hopefully that gives me an idea of maybe the situation and who I could reach. If it's probate, then I know that, okay, well, let me start researching the siblings. Let me start trying to find somebody who knows this person. Let me go start knocking on the neighbors' doors to see if they might have seen somebody come into the house. It's about gaining the insight that's needed. Let me see if they own any other properties in my account, right? This simple process of just knowing 11111. If I were to tell you, remember earlier I said if I had one record, what would I do to reach them? Let's say it's this record. I would call through each of these phone numbers. I would tag each phone number. If they said you got the wrong person, I would tag it as a wrong number. I would see that I only have 3 phone numbers left. I call them a few more times. They don't answer. All right, well, time to do something else, right? I either need to skip trace other people or whatever, right? I'm gonna do what I need to do, and then the last step of that is just putting them in a long-term nurture through sending direct mail, right? Send a direct mail piece to each of the people who I think are relatives. If none of that works and this property still hasn't sold yet, great. Now I'm going to do a genealogy, report, right? For those that don't know what a genealogy report is essentially a report, kind of like a private investigator, that will go at court and they will testify that there's no other heirs. If that happens, guess what we can do now? Now we can go to the court system and say, hey, I've done a genealogy report. If anybody inherited this property, it would be you, the city, the state, the county. So here's my purchase and sales agreement. I want to push this to court for me to be able to buy the property. And then that money is going to sit inside of unclaimed funds at the county. Just like tax auctions work, just like foreclosures work, right? People don't know that. People instead they say, oh, I couldn't reach him. That's it. No, you haven't went the extra 50% yet, right? If it's in an area that I know that if this property, take a look at it real quick. I know that at minimum, this property definitely fucked up. And was it on the water? No. But either way, if this property needed to be tore down, I know that a builder would pay $100,000 for that lot. So I know that I can at minimum do that. If it can be, then obviously I'd run my normal comps or whatever. But this house fixed up would probably be, we just got done flipping one. It sold for $325. We have another one right around the corner, actually, that we wholesaled for, actually right here. We have this property right here. It's either this one or this one. It's one of these two. 309. It's this one. 309 Hunter's Place, right? We have it assigned right now for 195,000, right? So ARV on I think is 325 or something like that. So it's like right around the corner, right? I know what it's worth. What am I going to do? Am I going to do the things that are needed to reach that person, right? Let's just say I call them. Somebody picks up and they say, yeah, you got the right number. I'm interested in selling. Cool. Correct number. Save. I now have a correct number. Switch the status to a lead. Assign it to my acquisitions. But push it over. Now they make an offer. Contract accepted. Cool. Sweet. Switch it to under contract, right? Assign it to your transactions, which we're going to say is Diana. And then they're going to take a hold of it. Now they're going to switch it to under transactions, right? Cool. Now that's done. They're going to do what they need to do. And then they're going to kick it over to push deal. Then they're going to send it over to Diana again in this scenario, actually. Diana's going to create all the marketing copy and everything else, right? And then she's going to task the dispositions agent, and then they're going to push it to them. They're pushing deals. They find a buyer. It's going to be, she actually assigned it to Jake. Jake would find a buyer. Buyer's found. He'd switch it to that, right? Oh, buyer backed out. Cool. Now we got to run that checklist. Deal closed. Let's close out that deal. What's the process around that in our business? And then, okay, maybe I lost the deal. Sucks. Now we know on our weekly meeting, anything that's lost deal, we need to figure out why the fuck that happened. What was the situation around it? All right. And then once the deal closed, cool, closed deal, unassign it to everybody. And then, annotate how much money we made. That's a simple process, right? From start to finish of like, okay, it became a lead. We made the offer, yada, yada, yada. But what if they don't answer? What if they are not somebody who says who it's dead? What do we do then, right? How do we find those people? Again, I already talked about how you do it singly, go through it. Inside the SIF dojo, we have this thing called the hidden scroll number 1 tactic. It's like a webinar that I did on that, which I think is the best way to do that. But in addition to that, how do we do that if we're cold calling 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people, right? Well, one of the ways to do that is obviously you can select these records. We can send this over to Call Tools or something like that. Cold call through it, update these phone numbers real time. Business plans, get that direct integration, send it back. We have some other things coming out in the works too, integration wise. But then I would export it, right? And I would just say, I want all the records that are untagged and that also have a correct number in it. What that's going to do, I'm not going to do it now, but what it's going to do is it's going to show me a list of these 40 records. Some of them are going to have phone numbers that have a correct number in it. Every other record is going to be untagged numbers, but there's going to be some records that have 0 phone numbers in them. If they have 0 phone numbers in there, that means that none of those phone numbers have a correct number, and they're all tagged something, or else they would have showed up, right? Because they would have been untagged. If they're tagged and that tag isn't correct number, that means it's either wrong number, DNC, or some other shit, right? So therefore, that means that that's someone who I haven't reached, period, through any of my cold calling campaigns. So we need to do something else. So if we're doing this at scale, right, we skipped the whole doing it at a micro type scenario, and we just like, I'm going to call 10,000 people. We need to do that at the end of our campaigns to make sure that there's not people that we've exhausted. What does an exhausted record kind of look like? This would be an example of that. It would be, let's say it's wrong number, DNC, and let's say that one isn't even tagged with anything, right? But it's been on like 17 campaigns, right? This would be like an exhausted record. Like I've went through it over and over and over. I'm not getting anybody, right? Or what happens to a lot of people and they don't even know it is this one's a dead phone number. It's not like hitting anybody. It just beeps the whole time, right? But this person's inherited this property. This property is fucked up and it's on high equity, but they don't even know because they're not watching or managing their data, and they're just fucking still cold calling these same numbers every single month. You shouldn't be doing that, right? Instead, we need to get a postcard sent out. We got to start researching, the right siblings and doing all that stuff. This is the reason why people end up thinking that their market's saturated. Nobody would have reached this person until either that person reached out to somebody to make it happen, like an agent or something else, or somebody did what was needed to find the right people. So that's a scenario with that. What we've done with the statuses, we've made it super simple to where people can understand, like, you don't need to have all the bells and whistles. And most people don't even need, automated shit, in their follow, because they're not even generating enough leads to like have that, right? If you're not generating, let's say 5 leads a day, right? You probably don't need a CRM because you're going to be following up with 25 or 30 of them sometimes a day. I know my VA does 35 follow-ups a day. My acquisition makes between 2 to 3 offers a day. And then my acquisitions is doing go, no-go stuff outside of that, right? Daily, she only sends about 5 people to an automated sequence, but we're also getting in a good amount of leads, right? I do think automated sequences are nice, but it's the only people she puts in an automated sequence are the people who we've talked to for at least 90 to 6 months, 90 days to 6 months. And they're like, we can just tell that they're really not going to sell to us anytime soon. If they're going to pick up the phone and have a conversation with us, however, we're going to continue to call them. We're going to continue to talk to them. We're going to continue to have conversations because one of our core values is community. That's a human being, right? We want to have conversations. If you're a lead manager and those people don't want to get on the phone and have conversations with people, you have the wrong person in the job, right? You need the chatty Cathy as a lead manager. That's the person you want. All right. So with that being said, what we've done is let me change that not to close so we don't not market to them. And as you're marketing, what you need to do is you use your filter presets essentially to say, okay, cool. I need to market to these set of individuals. I don't want those individuals to have the status sold, buyer, or whatever. So every single month, you're going to have the right people that you're going to need to market to right now. Okay. So what we've done is we've said, okay, well, let's help people with the process side of it. So I released our deal flow checklist that we use in my company: underwrite, new deal, push deal, buyer found, buyer lost, close out, lost deal, for every step for each one. So if we are pushing a deal, the first thing is that disposition ad copy has to be created. We got to then create the stuff on the marketing channels. And then we got to dispo lead actions, which is the disposition manager reviewing each of those. Then what happens if a buyer is found, send the contract, whatever. And each of these correspond with a status essentially of a record, right? So it makes it really easy to say, hey, like, let's remove the BS. Let's remove the thought that we need to, have all these bells and whistles, and let's actually maintain and have our finger on the company. Let's not give that away to something that we don't know, what it's doing. Not to say we're not going to have automations, follow-up type stuff, but it's about making sure that we're not doing that too soon. Just because we talked to somebody today and they're like, I don't think I'm interested for like 6 months from now, that doesn't mean you put them on a 6-month automated follow-up. It's like, I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make in their business, they think that they need all the time, but they're not even generating a whole bunch of leads to give that away. You should talk to that person in 2 weeks from now. You talk to that person in 3 weeks from now, a month from now, whatever. And all you got to do, right, for those that are on a budget, is all you have to do is go to Google Calendar. If you want, for now, we do have task management releasing in Q2. So it'll be inside of REISIF. But if you go to the Google Calendar, right, they have this really fancy, weird like feature in there, which can even be, is it linked with Zapier, called a task, right? And you just follow up. Then you go to your record and then you grab the URL and you put it in here and you save it and you switch the status to follow up. I'm not going to do that because this one's sold. And that's it. And then boom, okay, I have a follow-up. Click my link. I go right to the record. I make the fucking phone call. And then I move on with my life. I annotate the notes. People overcomplicate the shit out of this. This is healthy scale. It's using the tools, which is the minimalistic things that are needed to produce the maximum amount of revenue. Because the problem is that people haven't worked in like major companies, major organizations. So they don't see that what I just showed you, Fortune 500 companies do on the daily. There's something in software called SDRs, right? There's basically salespeople in the software space. They have a list of individuals that they pull. They scrape it online. Let's just say, for example, there's a competitor to Carrot. That competitor is going to scrape all the Carrot users out there. We're going to have an SDR have a list of these individuals. They're going to call them each day, and they're going to manually keep their finger on the pulse, right? They're always going to watch it. They're not going to let go. They're going to watch what's going on because they want to see what's going on with that record. When we go to send direct mail to anybody, we verify county records and make sure that the mailing address is accurate. Why? Because I value my 50 cents. It takes 5 seconds, right? If I'm doing, 50 of those a day, I'm going to have 50 times 30. I'm going to have a good amount of direct mail I'm sending that is validated, verified, and the most accurate that it could be. So a lot of people just want to give this away. There's a point of which it becomes automated, and that's somebody else doing it in your business that does it really well, not necessarily technology. And that's why we've started saying that REI Sift as a tool, we help real estate investors scale their sales and marketing, but really what we are is we're the system of systems, right? We are the system that makes it to where you produce and put systems in your business, which is something as simple as a deal flow checklist. I'm like, oh, wait, so you have a CRM that's like massive. So what do you use it for? Dude, I need to upload my contracts to the seller lead. I'm like, oh, really? That's cool. Let me show you what I do. I just, have this cool thing. It's free. It's called Google Drive. I bet you right now it probably has more under contracts than you have, because I know you're brand new in the game and you're just like thinking that you need to spend $300 for the CRM right now, when you could be spending absolutely nothing, right? And I open it up, I go in, I create a file, and it's all in my deal flow checklist. And we have our photos folder, which we send out to all of our buyers. And then we have our contract, which is underneath resources. It's a simple process. There's nothing complicated about it. This is the simplest business I think that exists, besides maybe like car detailing, right? Like,
Oh my God.
not complicated.
Dude,
so that's healthy scale. And you just build on top of that.
So much gold, man. Holy shit. I did not think you were going to go in this hard, Tyler.
Kind of go on rants, so we got to be careful.
No, man. It's all good, bro. It's all good. I love it because to me, it's a refresher to the things that I've, looked over. And I learn something new every time we do these things. So for me, it's like, I love that. I didn't even know that there's a CRM type functionality in REI Sift now. Unless my VA knew, because she's always up to date on all the updates. But she made when was that put in there?
We've had statuses for a good minute. You can have, there's different roles in REI Sift. Let me share my screen one more time. I want to show people where to get that checklist. Under your Sift Dojo, for those that you click on your Sift Dojo, there's like a bunch of resources in here. The deal flow checklist link is right there. So you open that and then you'll just make a copy. So you guys can have that in your business, and then just put that if you get a deal under contract, you just take that checklist link and you put it in your notes on your record, and then boom. But if you're curious on all those things, like what you're asking with the CRM stuff, underneath of resources as well, there's user management roles, and all the different roles you can create people as. It shows what the role is and then what they can't do in your account, right? Acquisitions people, for example, if an acquisitions or a dispositions person goes to the records page, they can't see all the data. All they see is whatever's assigned to them. Like if I were to toggle what's assigned to me now, I can only see 35. That's all they ever see. So if an acquisitions person needs to make an offer, they're only going to see, the lead that needs an offer made. Maybe we should add a status for make offer. That would actually kind of make sense. I love it.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
The innovative process of it is always my favorite part, bro. Yo, damn, dude. I mean, dude, you really came in here. You over delivered. This is too fucking good. Like, seriously, I hope everybody here really honed in on this, took as much notes as possible. you know, at the end of the day, guys, that like legit everything that Tyler just mentioned right now is how you scale a company properly. It's not spending more money on marketing. It's doing the most with what resources that you have, with the current budget that you have, and being realistic with where you're at. Because it doesn't matter whether you have $10,000 or $1,000. The person who's going to win is the one who is able to look at every single moving piece of their company and say that this is what needs to be doubled down on. So, I mean, that's what I love about it. Guys, if y'all are interested in learning more from Tyler, you know, I'll kit with Tyler after this, actually, because I know that some of y'all probably want to jump on the platform now that you've actually been able to see what it does. And I've shown you guys how I use it in my business, you know, but, you know, this is obviously, there's just so much more than what I'm able to teach on it that it can do for your business. And I know I have some SIFT users here. So, yo, Tyler, you know what I mean? Thank you so much, bro, for being a part of this and for coming in and dropping value. I know it's Wednesday. Oh, man, midweeks are busy for me too, bro. So I don't know. But, you know, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming in and pouring into the team.
Yeah, for sure, man. Anytime you need me, anytime, you know, you have people that feel like they're lost, you know, in the platform or whatever, you know, out of the people that are in your community that use the platform, man, I'm here to hop on a call and run through it.
For sure, guys, for sure. I appreciate it, Tyler. Everybody here, man, thank y'all so much for showing up on Wednesday. Let's keep these sessions moving. Next week, I got 2 more special guests coming through. This video will be recorded and uploaded into the Surface Academy archive so that you guys can go ahead and go in and get a refresher on everything that Tyler talked about today. All right, man, but make sure that y'all show Tyler some love. And yeah, man, make sure you follow him, subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's always talking about crazy stuff that he's doing in his business. So make sure you follow his journey. All right, guys, I'll see y'all later.
I want the check. I want the check.
Hey guys, if you like this video, go on and head over to my Instagram where I post exclusive content to help you grow your business.